Agriculture is supposed to be the great leap forward, the moment humans stopped wandering and started building. The foundation of civilization. And in many ways it was, but for the people who made the switch, it was a catastrophe. The evidence is in their bones. Researchers compare hunter-gatherer skeletons with the earliest farmers at the same sites. The pattern is consistent everywhere they look. Across Europe, the Middle East, Asia. The farmers were shorter. Their bones were weaker. Their teeth were worse. Iron deficiency anemia increased dramatically with farming, visible as changes in bone density around the eye sockets. Childhood growth stunting became more common, recorded as Harris lines in teeth and bones, the mark of bodies that stopped growing when food ran short. Harris lines are growth arrest lines. They form when the body redirects energy away from development, usually during periods of illness or starvation. Early farmers showed far more Harris lines than hunter-gatherers at those sites. Infectious disease increased sharply. Settlements of people and animals gave pathogens room to jump. Tuberculosis, smallpox, influenza, all appear to have crossed from animals to humans through farming. Subscribe if modern life has ever felt like it does not fit. That feeling has deep roots. Around 12,000 years ago, the hunter-gatherer diet was extraordinary. Hundreds of plant and animal species across the seasons. Early farming diets narrowed sharply, dominated by a handful of staple grains: wheat, barley, millet, rice, high in carbohydrate, low in protein, fat, and micronutrients. A body built for variety now running on narrow fuel, and it showed in the bones. Average height in Europe dropped around 5 centimeters with farming. It did not recover to pre-farming levels until the 20th century. Think about what that means. For roughly 12,000 years, humans were shorter than their ancestors. That span covers most of recorded history. The Egyptian pyramids, the Roman Empire, medieval Europe, all built by people shorter than the hunter-gatherers who came before. Because of farming. So why did they do it? Why trade mobility and variety for harder work and worse nutrition? Population pressure. Farming feeds more people per square kilometer than hunting and gathering. Not healthier people, more people. Once populations grew large enough, mobile life was no longer viable. The switch was not a free choice. It was a trap that closed slowly. The first farmers did not choose farming over hunting. They chose farming over starvation. Once enough people in a region farmed, the remaining hunters faced pressure, because farmers could feed armies, and hunters could not. Something uncomfortable lives in this data. The people who made the switch did not benefit from it. Their children did not. Their grandchildren did not. The benefits of agriculture accumulated across thousands of years. Population growth, technology, writing, medicine, cities, all real, all built on agricultural surplus. But the individuals who lived through the transition paid a price. Shorter bones, worse teeth, more disease, lives harder than the people who came before them. The civilization we inherited was built on those bodies, on people who were worse off than the ones they replaced. That is the part of the story that usually gets left out. We credit agriculture with everything that followed. Rightly. But the people who started it did not see those returns. They got the bone damage and the new diseases. Their distant descendants got cities and medicine. 12,000 years separated the cost from the benefit, paid by people who had no idea. They were not making a civilizational decision. They were trying to feed their children through another winter, and the trap closed before they understood what it was. Paid by people who would never see the return. Started by a small group in the Fertile Crescent. Planting seeds, hoping for enough. Not knowing what they were beginning. Not knowing the price in bones and shorter lives. There is a particular distance in this story. The people who built civilization did not benefit from it. Not directly. Not in their lifetimes. And yet they built it anyway. Not deliberately. Not knowingly. Just by trying to survive. And the consequences accumulating across thousands of years. Into everything that exists now. The pyramids, The empires, the cities, the medicine. All of it from people trying to get through another winter, making choices that made their bones shorter and their teeth worse, without knowing why, without knowing what would eventually come of it. That is one of the more quietly devastating facts in human history, and almost nobody knows it. Once farming started in a region, it spread. Not because it was better for people, because it was more efficient at producing armies. Farming communities could field more fighters than hunting ones. That asymmetry played out across millennia. The farmers won. Not because farming was better for the people doing it, because it was better at producing the numbers that mattered. The individual body paid the price. The population won the numbers game. The agricultural trap is still running in different forms today. Modern food systems still narrow the diet toward efficiency crops. The body still pays when the diet narrows. It paid 12,000 years ago. It pays now. The difference is that we now understand why. The first farmers did not. They only had the hunger and the seeds, and the hope that planting them would be enough. It was enough, but barely. And the cost was written into their bones, into the Harris lines and the shorter stature, into 12,000 years of bodies living sicker than their ancestors, and building slowly, across all those generations. The civilization that eventually produced medicine. That is the arc of the agricultural story. Catastrophe for the first farmers. Eventual benefit for their distant descendants. A gap of 12,000 years between cost and payoff. Drop a comment. If you had been alive 12,000 years ago, would you have switched? Like, share, subscribe? Agriculture gave us everything. It just did not give it to the people who started it.